Hello, and welcome to my short video on how to get your students' attention with the matrix method. So I'm Phil Tenaya, and I'm here with a process that you can use immediately to help your students with their attention skills and have them working with you with less stress and struggle. So I've worked with many students and educators over the years, and they have all told me that the matrix method I'm about to share with you is immediately useful. So that means you can start using it today. So let me jump in, and then later I will share a little bit more information with you about the matrix. But here is how I get started. The best way to get anyone's attention, in my opinion, is with an invitation. So I recommend you begin going about gathering your students' attention by saying something like this. Is it okay if I show you my point of view? So then you'll have their attention. They're going to respond. And now what you're going to do is you're going to show them this diagram. This is called the matrix. You don't have to tell them all this. I'll just share with you. It's got senses at the top, mind at the bottom, over here, satisfaction on this side of the horizontal line, relief. I've already written the first question that I'm going to ask them. Who's important to you? Over here, I have the term yucky stuff. And then up here, I've written relief moves and satisfaction moves. Now, I've done that for illustration purposes, but typically I'll just have who's important to you written here on the diagram. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to have this diagram already written, because if you start trying to create it, well, you're going to lose their attention. So you want to have it up, ready to roll, either on a whiteboard or a smart board or blackboard, whatever you have available. Piece of paper will do just fine because you're going to be then showing. So after I've gotten this, can I show you my point of view? My next step is this is a diagram with two crossed lines. At the top is your five senses. At the bottom is the word mine. And over here is the feeling of satisfaction. And over here is the feeling of relief. So, my first question that I will be asking for my point of view is who's important to you? So, I'm going to go first. So, for me, I would say that my wife is important to me. So, then what I'm going to do is I am going to write the word wife right up here. And then I'm going to say, so who's important to you? So now they're going to model it. They're going to start telling you their friends are important, their family is important, their dog. They might say what's important to them. Fine, we're going to write that all down. All of that's who and what's important to you stuff is going to go right here in the upper and the lower right. Sorry. And now you're beginning to, build this attention thing that we talked about. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here to this side, to the lower left. And I'm going to say, well, sometimes I notice that yucky stuff shows up inside of me. And for example, something like fear, for example, could show up inside of me. So I'm going to write the word fear right down there with the yucky stuff. And I'm going to say, and it's uncomfortable. I don't want it. And there it is. So what kind of yucky stuff, like fear, might show up inside of you or other people? Well, getting the hang of it now, so they're going to start saying the things that show up inside. And you're going to, the typical responses are going to be anger, bored is something I've heard a lot, tired. Even if someone says, I don't want to be here, whatever they say, you're going to say, great. Okay, so that might show up. And you just write it down right here in with the yucky stuff. So now what's happening is they are really paying attention, and they're maybe even thinking, well, holy cow, my teacher's talking about yucky stuff and we're writing it down. And well, this is kind of interesting. So what you're doing is you're having an interesting chat about yucky stuff. Go figure. But now they're kind of getting the hang of it. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go up here to the upper top part of this diagram. And here we're looking at things that people do. So the way I do that is I go up here and I say, well, sometimes when this fear, this yucky stuff like fear shows up, we want to do stuff to get relief from it, like right away. So one of the things that you might see me do, if fear showed up inside of me, you might see me do this thing called run. And I'm doing the running to kind of get away from that yucky fear stuff down below. So I draw a little arrow to show that, the fear showed up, boom, I go run. So now I'm going to say, so what kind of things might you be doing to try to get away from the yucky stuff that shows up inside of you or anyone? So if they've said tired, well, okay, what might they do? Someone might say, well, I put my head down. Great. So you go put your head down, write that up there, and you're doing it to try to get some relief from the tired feeling. Or, I'll make up an excuse. I might get on my phone. I'm sure you've seen them do that before. And whatever they say, we're just going to write it down. These are what we call relief moves. We do these kinds of things all the time. They're natural kinds of things. And now we've got them paying attention to the things that they do to get relief, which is kind of cool. Next thing we're going to do is come over here to the upper right, and I'm going to say, so now up here, I put the things that I do to try to get satisfaction with my important people that we just started with at the beginning. So, for example, for my wife, something that you might see me do, pretty simple thing, is you might see me talk to move toward, hopefully move towards some satisfaction with my wife. So how about you? And then friends are gonna text a friend, call a friend, have dinner with the parents, feed their pet. And now, they've really got a hang of it. They're attending, they're weighing in, they're giving you all kind of responses. So you've been gathering up this attention this whole time. So then I'm going to say, so now, now that we've done this, remember I told you this is my point of view. So let me show you how I make it a point of view. And now, oop, got a notification there. You know about that. So I am going to write the word notice right in the middle. And I'm going to say, so yeah, so now we just kind of step back and notice it. We've just been noticing this whole time. Can notice like who's important. I can notice yucky stuff that shows up in me. I can notice things I do to get relief. And I can notice things that I do to try to get some satisfaction. And any of us, you or I, we can do this kind of stuff anytime. As a matter of fact, do you think we might have some opportunities, say in the coming days or weeks, to notice this stuff showing up? Now, I would say for myself, I might. What do you say? So now going back and forth a little bit, and now your job is done. You just leave this diagram up. You can leave it up like that if you want. You don't have to. You can have a blank one up that's not filled in, but you have it up there so it's available for people to use. So that as you go through your day and stuff, and when things are happening, you or your students can now use this matrix to notice kind of what's going on. You could say something like, "Hey, I'm noticing that everyone is working now. I'd put that over on the satisfaction side." Hmm. Or I'm noticing that we're taking a break and probably getting some relief. So from a busy morning, so I might put that over here on this side. So your students are going to get the hang of it, and you'll invite them to do the same. And they're going to spontaneously start saying things like this to you. When they're doing that, now you know that you've got some attention training going because now they're kind of noticing and they're taking some perspective on themselves. And you're modeling, noticing, and attending to what you are experiencing. That's all you're doing. You're not telling them what to do. You're not telling them to pay attention. You're showing and modeling the process of attention. And the more that you use it, the easier it gets. So you and they are going to come up with all kinds of interesting things to notice if you decide to use this. Now, this noticing is going to build attention to whatever's going on, really, since when we notice, we are using one or more of our five senses. And being able to take perspective on yourself, to step back and look at yourself and your actions, well, that builds even more attention. And you now are including your students in this process, and as well as they have experienced this process, which is super, super important. So now ultimately, we can get to what I call being able to ask the workability question. So, after you've used it a bit, you might say something like, well, so now that we've done some noticing, we can notice kind of what we're doing anytime. And we can even stop and say, hey, is what I'm doing working? Is it getting me where I want to go? Now, here's another invitation to use the matrix method and the point of view for building attention skills. It's what I call non judgmental awareness. Now, asking the question, is it working, does not require a verbal response. Asking, is this working with the matrix, helps them to do more noticing and attending to their actions, their relief moves and their satisfaction moves, the consequences of them, and then what they hope to be achieving. Now, this may mean that they notice what they're doing and they keep doing what they're doing. It could mean that they are off track or they're trying to avoid something difficult. So, for example, can take a look at this. Does avoiding your work by talking to your friends, is my avoiding my work by talking to my friends, does it work to help me learn and move on? Does asking for help when I'm unsure, does that work to help me get a better handle on the subject? Now they're just noticing, and they're noticing now this workability, this isn't working with the diagram and the process that you've just showed them. So the goal is not simply to get someone to pay attention here. That's the secret. The goal is for students to learn how to use their attention skills in ways that work for them, and then continuing using those same skills to continue to do the things that work or to shift gears for the things that don't work. So they can add more skills or they can, it doesn't work so much and they can start to let go of some of that. So noticing and noticing what's working, or perhaps even noticing what's not working, that's just as fine, is done over time, right? And over time, they experience then the short term and the long term consequences of their actions. So there you go. So there is how you can help to build tension with your students. I hope that you find this useful. There's more information below if you want to know how to set this up for social emotional learning. There's a video down there below. You can link and click on that and check it out. Also, for using it with groups for kind of pulling a group together, video I put in down there. And if you wanted to get the script, kind of the languaging that I'm using, there's a form that you can grab down below. Just sign up and get it. Please subscribe if you find this information useful. Give me a like. If you subscribe, you'll get notifications when I have new content up, and I intend to keep putting new content up this year as we roll through the school year. And, any questions, is get in contact with me and have a good day. Take care.